Hey, Rex Bear, how the heck are you? Today we're going to uncover the truth that they don't want you to know. We're diving into part one of the most mind expanding conversation you will ever hear. Today's guest, Dr. Richard Allen Miller, physicist, military insider, remote viewer, and a real life wizard of the mind, reveals how he helped create a wormhole to Mars. Oh, yeah, trained Navy SEALs to become super soldiers, and was working with artificial intelligence back in the 60s. We're talking Project Stargate, SunStreak, time travel, the multiverse, ley lines, miniature black holes, and how the mind's eye is more real than anything you can touch. So buckle up, Buttercup, because once you hear this reality, you will never look at it the same again. Let's go. Oh, yeah, and if you want to listen to this in full, check us out over on Patreon. I have a plethora of interviews with not only Dr. Richard Allen Miller, but many others on our Patreon page, exclusive content, exclusive intel, unedited, uncensored on our Patreon page. Check us out. You'll thank me later. And enjoy this presentation. Oh, yeah, hit the thumbs up and share this video. Be the change you want to see.
That again. What did you do? I just
1983. I took 12 NASA scientists to Mars, literally. We never made it to the surface. We were down, in the underground caverns. But I did that in 1983. That's why they're training now Saturn I project, because that has exactly the same geometry, and they want to know where that wormhole goes. I'm not kidding.
So did you know that May 22nd, 1984, there's actually a CIA file. It's where somebody did a remote viewing on several regions in Mars. And the first region they had them go to was what we call Cydonia, where there's the pyramids and the face. And
yeah, well, here's the bad news.
So you did a year
what
before.
I'm doing is not remote viewing or astral projection.
Okay.
That's connected to the physical body, which is still part of your dream. Okay, and you're inside or outside the magic circle with an astral cord. Inside it, it's astral projection. Outside it is remote viewing. And remote viewing is very dangerous. And that's when Targ and Puthoff started doing that at SRI after Andrea Puharich, one of my teachers, left.
I literally did a podcast today before we started talking that mentioned Targ and somebody else with these.
Puthoff.
So was it Project SunStreak?
Yeah, well, listen carefully. When you're using remote viewing, that means you're using something else to look for you. And that means that is also looking back at you, and is why it's quite dangerous, and why you draw a circle in magical systems where everything inside that circle is you, and everything outside that circle is not you. And when a shaman, which is a low level of awareness, that's Dr. John Curtis Gowan. When a shaman uses an eagle to see what the eagle sees, the eagle gets to look back and see what the shaman is seeing. And that's where it's dangerous, and why I do not recommend remote viewing as the old guard that knows what the heck we're doing. And the wormhole thing I created is something completely different.
I want to hear about this. This is you've talked bits and pieces about it in previous podcasts.
Yeah, bilocation is what it's called. Okay, that's where you're on Mars and you're here and you talk to each other. And God would be somebody that does it to all of his bodies, like in the movie Lucy,
where she's like, I'm everywhere.
That everywhere, everywhere. Yeah, that's correct. And time, and that's part of the multiverse thing I'm developing right now with two Russians regarding the proton cloud, and all the decisions of when Rex called me on Pacific time rather than Mountain time.
Welcome to time zones.
Yeah, see, that's the deal. We've broken our time down into zones, but imagine all the things you didn't do that also happened today. All the decisions you chose not to do, like when you didn't call me this morning, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
They all happened.
Right. Or if I would have been later.
Exactly. Or earlier. Or
just I'm not a wizard yet.
Passed out.
Late, but I'm.
How about this one? This is a direct quote from Board of the Rings with Dildo Baggins. When you Just before you pass out, a giant 6-foot waffle iron is going to giggle at you that if you're digging it now, wait till the rush hits.
A waffle iron? Oh man.
That's why photographic well, it isn't photographic. I have eidetic memory. When I see something, I've got it forever. And that means that when I don't hear music, I see it. And so I did 20 years as a volunteer at the Brit, picking up trash from people that are going to the concert there at the Brit. 20 years of doing that as the nicest gift I ever gave myself.
Because you were finding out what people were throwing away?
Well, no, it just being able to see music, not hear it.
I see what you're saying.
Quality, I can see things people can't hear. And that's one of the reasons the military used me. Eidetic imaging.
Okay. You know, that's okay. So I've met somebody, became friends with somebody that is retired military that had an experience that made him, now he sees music the way that you're describing, but he didn't before. Something happened to him and then it changed him, like what you're describing. That's amazing because not many people have that gift.
I know. That's why the military started using me. I did code in 1960 for NASA. There were 3 of us. I didn't do binary. What I did is NOR-NAND, which was object-oriented. What you call object-oriented and or not. Object-oriented. You don't remember. We worked on
not
358s before the 360s were out. And then when I did the 360 was when I was at Claremont and did the first public demonstration of an AI. Okay, that was, I'm like way ahead of everybody. That was in 1972.
Now, let me ask you a question because you know so much about AI. It seems like right now, these programs that they call AI aren't really true AI. Like ChatGPT, it's awesome. I think ChatGPT.
They are and not. Here's the problem. An AI cannot distinguish between false and truth.
Why?
Where you have all these different dialogues within yourself going on, where you're of two minds of something. Right? Remember that quote? I'm of two minds of this, flipping it, call it.
I don't remember the quote, but I'm at least two in my head.
Yeah, and all of those things are projecting energy into a universe that makes them happen. Imagination is reality, not my physics. My physics is kind of like Simon says, you can go halfway to the door. You can get really close, but you don't get a cigar because you can't get there from here with that metaphor. That was what was wrong with quantum mechanics. The more you know about one thing, the less you know about another. And so as you get closer to this, you know less about that. There's a trade-off of information.
I've kind of noticed that.
The uncertainty principle.
What principle is it?
That was Heisenberg. Okay, the uncertainty principle. And that's why quantum mechanics was not used back in the 70s. What I did is I created a new concept of things based on not space-time, but on information. And now I'm discovering that information doesn't get you there either because of a specific theorem in information theory that states, quote, you have enough information to ask a coherent question. You have enough information to answer it. The answer is contained in the structure of the question. Now that means that's why Mandelbrot, Julia May generators are unique generators. They're not flowing from one to the other. That's the distinction of changing an analog into a digital system. When you do that, you lose something, and that's what's called the proton cloud, the space between when a proton becomes a particle and a wave.
It's like the dream, or it's the state of alchemical process.
It's a construct. It's not real. It's a way of looking at something. It's the way you store memory.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not real because you're in a dream, just like that picture behind you. And there are dream states that have more content to reality, like lucid dreaming, than consciousness does. You're not awake right now. This is an illusion, and you and I are in a million different universes. And the fact is, How many people do you think your little show affects in their decision making? And how many Yeah, exactly. And that has influence in creating so many different universes. The only thing that's actually real is your mind's eye, because anything that you can see is possible. It's not only possible, it's true, and way more than that. And that's true reality.
Everything.
That's,
And
yeah. Everything, everywhere, Lucy. Yeah, exactly. Now you're getting the bigger picture. She's everywhere at every moment, because space isn't real either. You know how I talk about the magnetic pole shift?
About the what? The magnetic what?
Pole shift. Gesundheit.
Sorry, I tried to hit mute. Say it one more time. You said it twice and I sneezed. You said magnetic and I sneezed both times.
Exactly.
Magnetic sneeze. What is it?
Magnetic pole shift.
Oh, the magnetic pole shift.
Okay, now.
Yes, we've talked about this.
Actually, all the planets have shifted except Earth and Mercury. Even the sun has changed now. Now, here's the deal. I don't think it's a magnetic pole shift. I think that's the way we see it. Basically, there are a number of anomalies on Earth, like the Bermuda Triangle and the ley lines that were used in Europe. And when I flew over the Oregon vortex, I was in a PBY, an old airplane, seaplane, PBY at 15,000 feet with an interferometer. And what bends light at 15,000 feet? It's a mini black hole. And I'm going to guess that all your ley lines and your Bermuda Triangle and other anomalies that we have, I don't think it's Skinwalker Ranch, but like that, like that, where there's unusual phenomena, I think are a series of mini black holes in a specific geometry, sacred geometry, going into the out of, and there's a change. And it isn't magnetic pole. That's the way our physics today can grok it. Grok coming from Heinlein, Stranger in a okay.
Oh yeah, I met his godson when I sold timeshare in Federal Way 18 years ago. So just
you're in Federal Way. I lived in near Federal Way.
What a trip! Man.
I was on Military Road.
Okay.
I went to high school at Mount Rainier.
What a trip, man! What a trip!
Yeah, I know. It all goes back to big black hole, and that massive one that they're now talking about in the horseshoe triangle in space. There's a massive black hole that's probably I think they said 300 million dimensions of the sun. Imagine, yeah, that's in the news just today on Nexus magazine. I used to write for Nexus when we first started. Duncan Rhodes is someone you might want to interview sometime. He's the original founder of that in Australia. He lives in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And, I used to write for him, and now I'm supposed to be too old or whatever. But I'm writing. I have another 147 manuscripts that I have not finished yet on how to grow certain kinds of psychedelic, pharmaceutical, and gourmet mushrooms, on children, on the different physics things that I've done. I haven't even done the SEAL reports, and you ought to see my autobiography. It's a woman up in Spokane did it for Arlington Institute out of Arlington, Virginia, and it's a picture book. I don't tell you what I did; I show you. Cool. Like the linear accelerator I built when I was in high school, created particles going faster than the speed of light, and they used that 2 years later on the Mariner 4 just to measure the water on Mars. That was in
talking about that was a satellite or a probe that was sent out to Mars, correct?
It was Mariner 4. Mariner 4 experiment. Yeah, when it went by Mars.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you made a particle accelerator?
Radiation. What's that?
A particle accelerator in high school?
Yeah.
So
I was gifted. I told you that. My mother, I came to the United States in third grade, and my mother, my report card says, Ricky is very disruptive. He asks too many questions. In fourth grade, they discovered I didn't read English. I read Palau, and Mandarin 1 and Tagalog. Those were my primary languages, and I didn't even speak English very well. And so they made me, as a punishment, have to stay after school every night and study English. 5th grade, I read every single book in the library with an atom on it, on the cover. In 6th grade, they tried to give me Ritalin because I was too, and my mother wouldn't let them do that. And in 7th grade, he's advanced, let's move him to high school. And she wouldn't let him do that to me either, and I'm grateful. However, I think that children are probably our single most natural resource, even over oil or timber. And what we're doing to them is dumbing them down. Why would we want to send them to school to become us? Look at me. I'm lucky. I didn't get through those things of how they treat gifted children. I worked for Waldorf. Was given, he's graduated now. He was a 12-year-old doing his doctorate at Cornell on organic chemistry. And what I did to mentor him is I wrote a comic book with him, and he was more excited about Dark Horse Press publishing that than he was his doctoral thesis. Why?
Because he's 12.
Still a kid. Yeah. Just like you are. You want to read comic books, they're fun.
Right.
Exactly. And it brings back the child in you. And my gift, like Eidetic imaging, is I'm basically a 4-year-old that never became 7, and now I'm 81 years old.
What a trip, man. What?
I know, it's really a trip, because I'm like understanding what time travel is in terms of how I'm doing it right now, doing goosebumps. And I can feel them bubbling. See, my skin is bubbling up and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
By doing that, that's how your body tells consciousness it's generating stem cells. What age do you want to be? You can do it with your mind's eye. That's time travel as I understand it. And this is revolutionary, because what age do you want to be? And that article I sent, if you post this thing, put that article from Nexus Magazine on there as well, because she does a video on telepathy, or actually it's on past lives. What do you think past lives are? They're all simultaneously happening. Time isn't real. And that's why I say the singularity has already happened. It probably happened on our concept of time in 1947 with Roswell. That's when little green men morphed into tall Nordics, graves, Nordics, and reptilian. Anything with a face, 2 arms, and 2 legs is human. That's past, present, and future. I've seen aluminum-based life forms. That's creepy. They're complete. They're not little alien running with 2 arms and 2 legs and laughing when Jack Nicholson goes up and says, "Why can't we all just get along?" The alien, a little tear in his eye, and then he blows them away. That's a great movie, by the way. That's what I'm trying to suggest, is that we get locked into a belief system and do not realize that our minds are tools in a toolbox. They're not real. This is what made us God's favorite, was choice. You see,